Hey folks, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to our weekly toilet-bound Hanako discussion video, and I did not want to make today's video, but it'll be interesting to see how this one goes over. But before we actually get into the video itself, I want to give a big thank you to those of you who shared last week's video over on Twitter. At It's Tired Andy, at Ash Peppermint, at Morgan Boyer Poet, at V Dorogu, at FireOtaku845, at Hans Kunikita, at Poetic Harpy, at Kisachan94, at Sirius9752, and at Vanilla Milk is G2. Thanks so much for sharing last week's video, you guys, and if you too would like to have your name shouted out in next week's Hanako video, then be sure to share this video around on the internet, and then tag me at JoJo Talks Too Much over on Twitter, and I will be sure to shout your name out in next week's video. Okay, so you saw the title of the video, so I'm going to safely assume you already kind of have an idea of what you're going to get into, and it's probably a good time to remind you guys that these aren't episodic reviews. They've never really been that. They're just kind of a weekly discussion on the show that I'm talking about, and sometimes that means we're talking all about the episode, and sometimes we're talking about stuff revolving around the show. In this case, it is the spoilers revolving around the show. So I have been doing these videos for a long time, and I don't think I have ever had this many spoilers for a show thrown at me than I have for Hanako. And I don't know why it's Hanako, but it's Hanako. I don't know what it is about the manga for Hanako that has people wanting to spoil things about it, but I've never had my comment section have so many spoilers. I've even had spoilers tweeted to me when people are trying to share the video, which, first of all, thanks for sharing the video. Second of all, don't spoil it, because I'm not going to put it in the video. Don't do that. Ooh, okay. And the other thing I have to preference, too, is everything I'm about to say is not to say that all fans of the manga for Toilet Bound Hanako are doing this. A lot of the comments have been really sweet and excited to see what, my reaction to certain things are going to be. And to those people, I want to say thank you. I appreciate that you have not spoiled things for me. And respect that I am not trying to take a dig at you. This is specifically at people who are in my comment section spoiling it for me and other people. This is very much a situation, at least from what I can gather, of a vocal minority, but it's enough people that I felt like I actually had to address it in a video. Now, I have had things for shows spoiled for me in the past. I can think of stuff like My Hero Academia, Attack on Titan, Fruits Basket, Vinland Saga a little bit. Things have been maybe one or two spoilers for each show, but it's never been something where every plot point has been basically spoiled like it has been for Toilet Bound Hanako. And I respect that a lot of you guys are just really excited because you really dig the manga and you like the story, you love these characters, and whenever I comment on something, you feel the need to clarify and be like, well, actually, blah, blah, blah happens. Actually, no, it's not this, it's this. I'm an anime only. I don't read manga. I don't enjoy manga. It's not a medium that I like. And so I do not want to consume this series in that way. I would rather consume it in the way that I enjoy, which is anime. And that's the other thing, too, that I really want to stress. If you are simply excited and you spoil things for people, you're not doing the series any favors, especially for somebody like me who doesn't read manga. You spoiling the events of the series and then following it up with, then go read the manga, that is so counterintuitive. Because honestly, I've seen that comment a bunch of oh man, bro, you're so off, it's actually this, but you should totally read the manga. Why would I read the manga? You just spoiled something. And usually pretty big spoilers. I know a lot about this show now. I know a lot about where we're going. Why would you spoil it and then tell me to read the manga? What purpose does that serve? Why would I ever read the manga in that case? Why would I not just continue to watch the anime when you have spoiled shit for me? All you've done is ensure that I will not read the manga. How does telling somebody what is gonna happen make them want to be yo, that's dope, I'm gonna read ahead in the manga? No, I don't read manga, you just ruined that for me. That's all you did. It's gonna be no different. And what sucks is you're excited because, like, I get it. Like, I get that for some people are being trolls in the comments. Like, I've had people just straight up say, blah, 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 no context, just straight up a spoiler. To those people, fuck you. But to the people who are spoiling it, who are just genuinely excited, listen, I get that you're excited, but you have just taken away that same surprise that you had, that same experience. You just ensured that myself and the people who check the comments are not going to have that same experience anymore. That experience that you wanted to share, that's gone now because you took that away. And now normally with most shows, I would just kind of be more cautious about what I'm reading. But the fact that I've been spoiled on so much in regards to Hanako, and I'm hoping there's still some stuff that I don't know about. I would have to assume there is, but again, a lot of stuff's been spoiled for me. This is where I'm gonna announce that I'm not reading the comments on Toilet Bound Hanako videos anymore. I'm just simply not gonna do it. I was gonna say like, hey, maybe try to use like spoiler etiquette. It's not gonna stick because people will jump in the next week's episode and spoil stuff there because they didn't hear me announce like, don't spoil shit here. I've seen people try to suggest like, oh, you should get mods. I'm not gonna force people to get spoiled because a lot of my mods are also anime only. I'm not going to force them to get spoiled. I could ask a manga fan, but I'm also not going to get them to moderate my comments for free 24/7. That's silly. So I'm just not going to read the comments. Obviously, please still comment on the videos because I need that. I need comments to get YouTube's algorithm all happy. But I'm just leaving the comments for you guys from now on. That the comment section is for you guys who don't mind being spoiled or for manga fans, but I am going to personally take myself out of that. I'm not going to read comments on these videos anymore. And I felt like I had to address that in a video because if I addressed it in a tweet, which I did the other day, I was just whinging about this on Twitter like a child, and I admit that I was being a crybaby, but I realized, and a couple people said this, that I had to address it in a video, so here it is. I'm not going to read comments on Hanako videos anymore. Please don't spoil things for other people, and if you absolutely have to, at least put like a space between a spoiler warning and like the spoiler itself. I would assume that was common etiquette, but apparently not. Again, I don't know why it's specifically Hanako, but this is the most I have ever been spoiled, and I'm not trying to be a dick, but I had to address this in a video. So yeah. Okay, so with that out of the way, it would feel weird if I didn't at least talk a little bit about this week's episode. And it's too bad because this week's episode has some cool stuff. Namely, the whole baking donuts thing was my favorite scene because the other thing was totally fucking spoiled for me. Yeah, Hanako's twin was straight up spoiled for me. I think the idea of the whole like inverse where it's like, oh, they're like Hanako, Ko, and Yashiro, but instead, it's like an inverse of them. Like, it's the same sort of trio dynamic, but it's like a twisted, inverted version of it. That's cool. I already had that thought cross my mind when it was spoiled for me. So, unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot to say about it other than, cool idea, neat. Would have loved to have been like, whoa, what? Like, on the mic, but it was already spoiled for me. So I don't really have a lot of opinions on that. I didn't really feel much because I already knew it was coming. But what I was surprised with is the whole baking scene. And that's what I really want to talk about today. Because, holy shit, Ko has grown so much in such a short amount of time. Like, Ko is best boy. And I know that's probably going to upset some folks. And you guys know, Hanako is my ghost, it is my Animu ghost nephew. You know, I love Hanako. But Ko is such a good dude. He's just a genuinely good person. And I feel like his empathy has grown exponentially in the last couple of episodes. He went from being somebody who is just like, he's there to exorcise ghosts, that's what he does, that's what his family does, that's what his brother does, and it's worked out pretty well so far. And so that was his whole character. And we saw him sort of evolve from, in a very short amount of time too. I really have to give kudos to Masaomi Ando for actually giving this character enough screen time and enough like solid moments within that screen time to really flesh out this character and actually give him an arc over a really short amount of time. This is only episode 7, and I already feel like Ko has gone from like rookie, rash, and headstrong exorcist into being a sort of more calm, empathetic, and reasonable person who is trying to fight for the sake of justice. And he's like his whole arc has just been really interesting to watch, and I loved seeing that in the baking scene in particular. He was aware that there was something going on between Yashiro and Hanako, and he put his own feelings aside to bake donuts for Hanako and have Yashiro give those donuts to Hanako. And he did that because he wanted to make Hanako feel better. But what I also love is the fact that we get the hint that he is actually a really great cook. Like, it's hinted at, and then it's outright said, which annoyed me. But like, it's hinted at throughout the episode during the baking scene that he's actually a great chef, and he does most of the housework at the Minamoto household. And he is lying to Yashiro, telling her like, oh, I don't actually know how to cook. My sister was really interested in donuts. She's been complaining about them for a while, so I wanted to make donuts, and I don't really know how, blah, blah, blah. He totally did. And you even get this scene of Yashiro saying, like, I think these are the best batch I've ever made. And you know that that's the case because Ko is a great cook. So it's two great cooks instead of just one. That's why they turned out so great. And again, I would have loved if they didn't have the scene with Teru saying, like, so what was up with this whole who's not a good cook? Like, you're the best cook, and but like, you didn't need that scene because the hints were enough that I feel like it's sort of a less is more type thing. Like, you didn't need that. It would have been more impactful if they just never addressed it. Maybe like a side glance from Teru, and Ko's like, what? Like, that would have been enough. But regardless, I still love that scene. And Yashiro opening up to Ko and telling him why she's feeling the way she's feeling, I think that's great too, because again, it shows Ko's empathy, because the whole reason he said like, oh, I'm not really a great chef, blah, blah, blah. At first I thought it was because he just wanted to be close to Yashiro, which is also the case. Like, I feel like that is definitely part of it, because he has a crush, and you can't blame him for that. But it's also the fact that he was trying to understand what her damage was, because he knew that there was something wrong with Yashiro, so he was trying to kill two birds with one stone with the whole donut baking scene. And I just think it's really interesting. The relationship between Yashiro and Ko, I find to be really interesting. Obviously, as I've said in the previous video, I'm still a Hanako and Yashiro shipper, and that has also been spoiled for me. But scenes like this really make me like the Ko and Yashiro dynamic. Whether you want to see that as romantic or just platonic, it doesn't really matter. I think their relationship is really unique and interesting. And the way Teru views Yashiro, like just in this scene, like he's friendly, blah, 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 but he's also sort of protective of his brother, you know, because he's the older brother. He wants to like protect Ko. And I really loved the baking scene a lot. And I wanted to be like, okay, this is how we're gonna de-escalate this video, is talking about this really adorable, really fantastic scene in a pretty solid episode. With that said, I'm gonna give this episode I'm gonna give it an orange pico. I will say there's stuff about the show that is bugging me, both outside of the show itself and also within the show. Like, I feel like the manga panels, I saw a couple other AniTubers bring this up, but yeah, the manga panel thing it was cute at first, and now it's kind of getting obtrusive. But I still think that the show is really solid, and I thought this episode was really great, especially that baking scene. But yeah, I feel like an orange pico. Like, it's still reliable, still solid. Yeah, and hopefully everybody's not steaming mad at me, but if you are, I get it, but hopefully you get where I'm coming from as well. And with that said, that is a wrap on today's video, so I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, then go ahead and hit that like button, maybe even consider sharing the video around on the internet, and go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you want to stick around and see more content from me. And if you do, be sure to click on that bell icon so that you'll know immediately when a new video of mine comes out, and if you want to go above and beyond, then consider checking out our Teespring store and grabbing yourself a mug, or checking out our Patreon page, which really helps support the channel. And speaking of our Patreon page, I want to give a big thank you to those of you who support the channel over on Patreon. Andrew W., Calvin A., Crowbar of Irony, Daniel G., Digger the Fox, Emily, Ionos, Urza, Ginkotaku, Godzilla Fan, No For Nothing, Maria Teresa, Marshall B., Mirth Mouser, Cell, Shadow Creative, Stephen G., Sakochi, Tristan G., and Veridin. A huge thank you to all of you who support this channel over on Patreon, and if you too would like to join the T Squadron, then be sure to check out the link in the description to check out our Patreon page and get access to our Patreon exclusive Discord for as little as $1 a month. And with all that said, I want to once again thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have an awesome day, and if you are feeling stressed out today, then you go have yourself a warm cup of tea, and I will talk to you all again real soon.